Well, good day. It's the 5th of June, 2021, and it's Saturday. Very hot day. Clear, but hot and humid. Extremely humid. So humid I didn't even bother to go running. But what I want to talk about today, the reason I'm dressed up is I just came back from church. But the reason I want to talk, well, what I want to talk about today is something that you may not be aware of, and that is that the United States Marshals have task forces. Most people know that the DEA has task forces, and what a task force is, for those of you who don't know, it's a law enforcement group comprised of people from different agencies. So, for instance, a DEA task force will have DEA agents on there, but also state and local officers, and then other federal agents as well. So they're all combined together for a common purpose. In DEA's case, to combat drug trafficking in a particular area makes good sense because, again, local agencies sometimes only have maybe 20 or 30 officers on the department. They may only be able to devote one officer to drug enforcement, which isn't, enough to do anything. But by combining them with a group of other law enforcement officers and federal agents, well, then they're able to function outside their town. And of course, most of the drugs that come into their towns, come from other areas, and it also gives enough people to do enforcement operations. Well, starting in around the year 2000, the Marshals also began to use the task force concept, and the funding mechanism is the high intensity drug trafficking area, which was enacted around 1990 under the first Bush administration. And it's basically just a funding mechanism. And with regards to state and locals, it provides them with a vehicle to use as well as police overtime, which is their big concern. Now, with federal drug task forces, the police departments also get the seized assets or a portion of the seized assets that are federally seized. And they like it when the federal government processes a seizure because then the department, by federal law, gets the money. But with regard to state and local task forces that are headed by the Marshals, again, what is the benefit of that? Well, again, you'll have state and local police officers who are deputized as deputy U.S. Marshals for the purpose of the task force. They'll get a government vehicle funded by HIDTA, the High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area. And they will also get, besides that, overtime funded by the federal government. But a lot of times they will have local criminals, people who they've arrested numerous times. They've been in and out of the state system, and this allows them to work with a federal officer. Usually there's ATF assigned to the task force, and then they're able to get a federal warrant and serve that federal warrant. And the federal warrant, then the federal charges stick. Unlike state and local, they go for a significant period of time. And just a few days ago, the North Star Fugitive Task Force in Minneapolis executed an arrest warrant on a man named Winston Boogie Smith. He wasn't born in 1984. Bad joke. He was killed in the encounter. He drew a weapon on the deputy marshals and opened fire, and on the task force officers, they returned fire, killing him. It resulted in, I think, 2 nights of unrest in Minneapolis. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a short video on just to show the news report, how the news media reports it, the reaction of the local community. And again, you think the guy was, basically a pillar of the community. He had 20 arrests prior. At age 20, he had 20 arrests, and he tried to shoot at the officers when they went to arrest him. But look at how the vehicles are positioned. They did it in a really professional manner. They took him on the top of a parking garage where he was away from everyone else. They boxed his car in, used proper vehicle containment so he couldn't get away and do a high-speed chase in a parking garage running over pedestrians or anyone else. It was done with the safety of the public in mind, and with his safety in mind too. He chose to go out the hard way, and he did. But take a look at this video, and then I'll comment on it real briefly.
Protesters have blocked a busy intersection a day after Hennepin and Ramsey County deputies working with the U.S. Marshal Task Force shot and killed a man while they were attempting to take him into custody on an arrest warrant for illegal firearm possession. They say the man fired a gun from inside his vehicle, and that is when officers fatally shot him. Jennifer Hoff joins us live from uptown to show us how bad the traffic is. Jennifer?
The protesters very upset over the shooting death by law enforcement of Winston Smith. Today, his brother spoke to us saying that no one from the law enforcement community has reached out to him to tell him what happened yesterday. He is sharing his list of demands as this investigation begins, and so too does the cleanup from the protests that happened overnight.
Like I told you earlier, proof.
Standing near the parking garage where his brother was killed, Kydale Smith says he wants law enforcement to release body camera footage along with video from nearby.
What you're going to see, very perfect job of vehicle containment by the task force members, bumper to bumper, so he cannot back out and engage in a chase or take off, and also done in an isolated area, very professional, so that no one else will be hit. The vehicles are positioned in such a way so that there isn't a crossfire. Obviously, the guy has all kinds of demands. He's upset because his brother was killed. Completely understandable, but his brother fired a weapon before he was shot. He was wanted for carrying a firearm and possessing a firearm as a felon, and the wages of sin is death. But unfortunately, what happened is the city gets trashed once again. A very violent man who met a very violent end. So that's about all there is to it. Hopefully there won't be any political opportunists who take advantage of this and stir up discord or file unwarranted charges. But again, task forces, they're a force multiplier in law enforcement, whether it be drug law enforcement, counterterrorism, counter-fugitive. So hope you learned that the Marshals, do have state and local task forces. If you're a state and local officer, you're looking to get on the Marshals and you're in an area and they have a lot of task forces, that might be something you want to inquire into, being assigned to the Marshals task force. And it'll give you some, at least some introductions and hopefully good recommendations, an opportunity for good recommendations if you want to go from one agency to another. So I hope this was somewhat informative for you, and hope you have a good rest of the week, okay?